Okay, so I am frying the bacon. In order to caramelize the onion, bell pepper, and garlic. That smells good. This is cooking bacon. It's called bacon pieces. You have to find a store where there is either a Latin or an African American presence in order to get this kind of bacon. Look at the chunky pieces. In our communities, this is cheaper, but if you go to some of these fancy stores, they'll charge you extra for these bacon ends, or what they're called. So I have 1.5 large onions because I like a lot of onions. I have half of a bell pepper. I would like to have used 1.5 bell peppers, but I only had half a bell pepper left, so that'll have to do. I'm out of celery, so I'm using a carrot. I like sweet, so the carrot is a substitution. This is a pound of beans that were soaked, dry beans that were soaked overnight. I do not use canned beans. I will use dry beans or fresh beans. I mean, if it was an emergency, I would use canned beans, but under normal circumstances, I use dried beans, and if I grew some beans, I'll pick them and use fresh beans. One thing about these bacon pieces is they do take a little bit longer to crisp. You see that fat back there? It's taking a while. There's a layer of oil. But you want to get it crispy so that you have that texture difference. I could put my vegetables in here right now, and there's definitely enough fat in here to cook them, but I wouldn't get the benefit of getting the texture of having that crispy bacon like I will if I just continue cooking it on a low temperature until it crisps. Right here I have half a bulb, not a clove of garlic, but the full bulb, half of the bulb. I want 1 clove of garlic per serving of food, and I have 4 bay leaves. 3 is enough, but I like my food to be well seasoned, and I'll probably put the seaweed kelp in there. There's another substitute for celery I'm using. I'll probably put at least a teaspoon of that in there to give it a little bit more flavor. You can see now my bacon's nice and rendered. My bacon ends are nice and rendered. This bacon is so salty. I actually added a little bit of turmeric flavored fat, again pork fat, to give it even more seasoning and help it to crisp up a little bit more, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to throw my vegetables in there. You see that just stirring around in there. Doesn't that look beautiful? The whole point of this is just to caramelize these. So I'll come back when they are caramelized. I'm going to have the yellow from the carrot in there. It's going to be pretty. Okay, I measured out a country teaspoon of my seaweed mixture. And here it goes. Okay, so you can see my vegetables have sweated out, and they've kind of cooked down. I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to add the beans and the ham hock and the carrots and just let it slow cook for a couple hours. I forgot to mention the 1 red pepper. I use serrano peppers because that's what they have around here, but I also use jalapeno. Notice this is a stew carrot. It's not one of those little regular baby carrots. It's huge. And I'm making it the traditional way, so this is a ham hock. And when the ham hock is falling off the bone and the beans are mushy, then it's time to make the rice. Since I soaked the beans overnight. I don't have a whole lot of water in here, but I will check back in an hour or so. And if I need to add more water, it's no big deal to do that later. Where it barely covers the ham hock. Now I gave it a little stir, but when it's done, it'll just look like beans. You won't even know there's all this vegetable in here, but there's a lot of vegetables in there. While the beans are cooking, I'm going to chop up these 4 Farmer John sausages. We don't have andouille sausages here. You have to go to some special place to get them. So I just have what we call Louisiana brand sausages. So I'm chop up these 4 sausages, and then I'll kind of fry them up. And when the beans are ready, I will put them in the pot so it'll have a different meat texture in there as well. You can hear it sizzling up. Ooh, that gas and cast iron, that's all you need. That sausage smells good. Sausage and bacon smells so good. Look at that. The oils are rising to the top. As the beans cook, they'll soak all that yummy goodness up, and those carrots will give it just a hint of sugar. Of course, I'll add a little bit of molasses. I always add a little bit of molasses. Getting there slowly but surely. And you can see all of that goodness is coming out of the sausage. Yummy. Everybody's anti-fat now. I love fat. That's what seasons the rice and beans. Otherwise, it'll be all dry. Wish I had another bell pepper to throw in there with that. Okay, so I put some radish powder, I put some walnut powder, and my molasses. Those are my little secret ingredients. Those are not traditional. Everything else was traditional. Nice and crispy and ready to go in the pot. Okay. Now I finally got the color the way I want it before it cooks up. I had to add, to get that rich color that I wanted, I had to add a teaspoon of seaweed powder. So in addition to the teaspoon of kelp seasonings, I added a teaspoon of seaweed powder. And seaweed, it has a non-distinguishable flavor to it, but it really makes your bean soup dark, which is what I like. If you have a can of tomato paste, you can always add a can of tomato paste. That's always yummy in there. I don't have a can of tomato paste, and I do have the tomatoes to make tomato paste out of, but I'm not doing that today. So this is it. I got an hour and a half for this to cook and get tender. So the beans are done. I actually was cooking them late at night, so I had to go to bed. So I'm going to have to heat them up. But as you can see, the beans are nice and soft. All the spices and vegetables, except for the carrots, are blended in. And like I said, in reference to the ham hock, you see how tender it is now in comparison. I'm going to cut the ham hock up so it'll be all throughout the beans. And I'm going to mash the beans like so that I break them up now that they're soft. And then I will cook them until they have turned into a sort of a gravy. You can throw them in the blender if you want a quick method, but I'm just going to mash them and do the final cook and add the rice and a little salt if needed. So I just finished making brown rice, and I'm going to put this brown rice into my red beans, put the final seasonings in there and see how it is. It is time to do the taste test. And now I'm going to give these a taste. I know it's good. The closer I get to you. That's good right now. I was making this actually for a lady who's not feeling well. She just had surgery. So I made it for her, but I feel like it's enough in that pot for both of us. Enjoy this recipe.